News time, Eastern Standard Time is 7 o'clock. It's 6:30 in the centre and an early good morning in the west. It is 5 o'clock.
Good morning, Helen Zaremus with ABC News. A judge in Washington has ruled former US President Donald Trump's January 6th federal trial will start in March next year. North America correspondent Barbara Miller reports.
In a lively court hearing, lawyers for Donald Trump argued they needed 2.5 years to go through the millions of documents from the investigation into allegations the former president tried to overturn the results of the 2020 election. Judge Tanya Chutkan said the proposed 2026 start date was unacceptable and ruled the trial should begin on March the 4th next year, just ahead of Super Tuesday. In the Georgia case, meanwhile, a plea hearing has been set for September the 6th. Barbara Miller, ABC News at the Federal Court, Washington.
And Donald Trump says he'll appeal against that trial date, but he hasn't said how or when. Though legal experts say a court scheduling decision is not a legitimate basis for an appeal. China's defended its treatment of Australian writer and activist Yang Hengjun, who's been detained in prison in Beijing for more than 4 years. Here's East Asia correspondent Kathleen Calderwood.
A recent medical examination revealed Yang Hengjun has a large cyst on one of his kidneys. His supporters report he's been in pain for months and hasn't been offered treatment. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Wenbin yesterday defended the treatment of Dr. Yang but refused to share more details, saying only that the Chinese justice system safeguards the rights of individuals. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese says he will raise the cases of Dr. Yang and another jailed Australian, journalist Cheng Lei, at an anticipated meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping on the sidelines of the G20 Leaders Summit next month.
Economists have warned Australia may not be able to accommodate all the migrants required for a future workforce. A report by KPMG's found Australia's population grew by a record amount in the past financial year, but the housing market is failing to keep pace. The company's urban economist Terry Rawnsley says that could affect how many people decide to move to Australia to work or study.
We've got a whole range of skill shortages. We need workers to come into the country, but we've got this paradox that we don't have the homes for them to go into. The housing sector is trying to get more and more housing completed. Longer term, there's a whole range of challenges about how do we really ramp up supply so we work on the housing backlog, especially at those affordable levels.
The process to replace disgraced former Western Australian MP James Hayward is expected to start today after he was found guilty of indecently dealing with a young girl. Kean Burke reports.
Hayward was elected to Parliament as a Nationals MP in 2021, but later that year, when he was charged with indecently dealing with the girl when she was aged between 6 and 8, he resigned to sit as an independent. Last night's verdict means he's now been automatically removed from his position as an MP because of the severity of the charges, something which is only believed to have happened once before in 1910. When Parliament sits today, it's expected to formally start the process of replacing him, with the seat to effectively be offered to the person who is next in line on the Nationals ticket in the southwest electorate at the 2021 election.
The Darwin community is gathered at a vigil mourning the death of 3 Marines in a crash on the Tiwi Islands on Sunday. The US military is investigating what happened, and the joint training exercises it was participating in have been postponed. Bradley Torgan from the Australian American Association of the Northern Territory says more than 100 people gathered at the vigil.
I was fine until about 20 minutes ago. That's when it kind of hits home. I've gotten calls from a lot of my members today who are also bewildered, hurt, and a bit of shock, sad. To see some of the support and the unity, the outpouring from the Darwin community, I think helps a lot.
The New South Wales government says the report into the future of the state's largest power plant won't be handed down this month as expected. The Eraring coal-fired power plant is due to be closed in 2025, but concerns have been raised about whether new renewable energy projects will be finished in time to replace the generator. The New South Wales government says it needs more time to determine its response. ABC News. There are concerns an explosion in the number of Australians with degrees is devaluing diplomas and certificates and making it harder for people without tertiary education to find work. A study's found the number of postgrads has almost doubled, while bachelor's degrees have also shot up in popularity. Professor Tom Carmel from the Mackenzie Institute says if that continues, it could see sectors like aged care and childcare require degrees.
The certificate is now a requirement to work in childcare, and a diploma is rewarded. In my view, it won't be too long until we have the degree as the basic qualification. In occupations which are largely government funded and regulated, then we tend to see these qualifications become mandatory.
Red Cross Lifeblood says the number of people who've donated blood since the mad cow ban was lifted has almost doubled expectations. It's been a year since the end of the rule. It banned blood donations from people who'd been in the UK between 1980 and 1996 because of fears of the spread of mad cow disease. Red Cross Lifeblood says 34,000 new donors have come forward since the ban was overturned, almost a quarter of those in Victoria. Visitors to Queensland's Gari Island are being urged to ensure they understand dingo safety rules after another woman was bitten on a beach. Pat Heaney reports.
The woman was standing on the sand near Happy Valley when she was nipped on the thigh by a dingo. She was circled by two collared dingoes before one lunged at her again. Rangers say the woman swung her water bottle, yelled and remained as calm as possible while four passing motorists came to her aid. She received two small abrasions to her thigh and was taken back to town by one of the drivers. Rangers are reminding visitors to walk in groups, carry a stick for protection, keep kids close and remain vigilant at all times when visiting the island. They say they're closely monitoring the dingo responsible.
A medical journal has outlined how a Canberra hospital patient became the first person in the world to be found with a live worm in her brain. Jade Toomey reports.
The 64-year-old woman from southeast New South Wales had been complaining of abdominal pain and diarrhoea since January 2021. Doctors had presumed she was recovering from pneumonia until scans last year found brain abnormalities. Neurosurgeons at the Canberra Hospital removed a live 8-centimetre worm from her brain. Doctors believe the woman ingested snake faeces from native spinach leaves she'd foraged near her house. The journal Emerging Infectious Diseases says doctors have never discovered a live roundworm in a brain before, but they are commonly found in carpet pythons.
And the United Nations has criticised the head of Spain's soccer federation, Luis Rubiales, who kissed a player after Spain's win in the Women's World Cup. Hundreds of people have protested in Madrid, calling for Mr. Rubiales' sacking, and Spanish prosecutors have opened a preliminary investigation into his conduct. The UN's Stefan Dujarric says the organisation hopes Spain deals with the issue in a manner respects the right of all female athletes.
I mean, how difficult is it not to kiss somebody on the lips, right? I mean, there is a critical issue of sexism that remain in sports.
Now with sport, Daniela Intilli.
Australian tennis player Daria Saville has defeated American Cleve Ngunwe in the opening round of the US Open. Saville marked her comeback from a knee injury with a 6-love, 6-2 win at Flushing Meadows. She'll face world number 1 Iga Swiatek, who overcame Sweden's Rebecca Peterson 6-love, 6-1. Swiatek says she's happy with her performance.
I really wanted to, play solid and start the tournament, with everything that I kind of focused on when I was practicing here for the whole week. So I'm happy that I could play such a great game.
Australia's Storm Sanders went down to 10th seed Karolina Muchova in straight sets. Sydney Roosters front rower Jared Warrior-Hargreaves will contest the severity of his Grade 2 dangerous contact charge at the NRL judiciary tonight. He potentially faces a 7-game ban over 2 separate charges. The GWS Giants will challenge small forward Toby Bedford's one-match suspension for rough conduct at the AFL Tribunal.
To finance, stocks have risen broadly on Wall Street as US markets shift their attention from the Fed Reserve to corporate and economic reports. The S&P 500 and Dow have closed 0.6% higher. The Aussie market expected to open higher this morning, and the dollar's up. It's now buying 64.2 US cents. ABC News.
Thank you very much for that, Helen. It's Tuesday, the 29th of August. Great to have your company this morning.